ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्वदेवाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नमः सभायै सभापतिभ्यश्च। Respected Professor Radha Govinda Tripathi, Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapith Tirupati, India, the Vyakhyan Sangyojak, Advocate Mr. G.D. Bansal, Vyakhyan Adhyaksha, Advocate Mr. Radheshyam Garg, Vyakhyan Sachiva, Professor Satyanarayana Acharya Ji, Vyakhyan Margadarshak, Dr. Vikesh Kumar Sharma, Karyakram Mahasachiv, respected elders, my brothers and sisters, greetings to all of you from the South Africa. On outset, I like to congratulate Samskruta Samskruti Vikasa Sansthanam, Rajasthan, India, for hosting a Vishishta Vyakhyana on the topic of Indian culture and its importance on the auspicious day of Shravana Purnima and Raksha Bandhan and International Sanskrit Day. So I am going to divide this topic into 9 points. The first point will be what is Indian, the second what is culture, and third point the goal of Indian culture, and fourth point what benefit will give by following Indian culture, and fifth point will be what is the method of the Indian culture or to follow the Indian culture, and number 6 we discuss the history of Indian culture, and number 7 the present situation of Indian culture, and finally we discuss what action we must take to practice, protect and promote Indian culture. Let's go to the first point. What is Indian means? Indian means that people who are living in India is Indian. So when the Indian concept came, the Indian concept came in 1947, India became nation. So is that Indian culture started from 1947 or before that? But answer is India culture started far before that. So what was before 1947? What was known before that is known as Indian culture or something else. If you look at our history, if you look at our Puranas, our Itihasas, our Kavyas, Granthas, we can find out in 1947 the place known as India. Before 1947 that place is known as a Hindustan. Although there is no Hindu word reference in our scriptures, but it is known as Hindustan because the word Sthan is like a name of the place. Sthan means place in Sanskrit. Hindu word came from the top of the India is the mountain Himalaya, and the bottom of the India is a Hindu Sagar. From He plus Hindu became Hindu. They make is a Hindustan, and that Hindustan concept, if you look at the history, normally from the 700th century they use the word Hindu, and sometimes you can find in our books mention of the Hindu. That means the Hindu concept came before before 700th century, and from the 700th century we will find the mention of about the Hindustan. That's a Hindustan, and before Hindustan that place was known as Aryavarta. That's why we call it as Arya. Arya means well civilized people. The well civilized people living on that place, they are the Arya, that place known as a Aryavarta. And before Arya, that there is some reference we can see in Manusmriti chapter 2, 22nd. It say Asamudratu vai purva da samudratu paschima tayorevantaram giryo Aryavarta vidurbudha. The reference that land was known as Aryavarta. Before that Aryavarta, that place known as the Bharatavarsha. That is we can see reference from the Brahma Purana. It written Atrapi Bharata Sreshtha Jambu Dvipe Mahamune Tayo Karma Bhureshat Yadyanya Bhoga Bhumayah. Let's say that according to Indian culture, they divide into 7 continents. I am going to discuss that point later. That place called a Jambudvipa. In the Jambudvipa, that place is the best place is Bharatavarsha, because that place is the Karma Bhumi. People do Tyaga, people do Yajna, and people do Tapa. That's why that is the best in the world. That is the Karma Bhumi, and the rest of the world is the Bhoga Bhumi, is mentioned in the Brahma Purana. So that means what I am trying to say, that our whatever the Indian culture, it is known as it may one time known as a Hindu culture, then one time is known as Arya culture, and one time known as the that is the Bharatiya culture, Bharatiya Samskruti. And but what happened if you look at from the people known as a Bharatiya, then Arya, then known as a Hindu, now known as a Indian, they were following one concept, the concept of the Dharma. So that is the in total our Indian culture protect and promote the Dharma concept. Now that is the brief introduction about the India. So what I am saying, whoever Indian, they are the Hindu, they are the Arya, they are the Bharatiya. Now second point, what is culture means? The culture in Sanskrit we say Samskruti. Samskruti is a Sanskrit word. Samskruti means Samyak Kritihi Samskruti. So the best things of that society is called Samskruti. The best practice is called a Samskruti or the culture. So what happened in a nation when they want to achieve that goal, whatever method, whatever correct traditions they follow, that is called a Samskruti, very simple language. So Samskruti is called Samyak Kritihi Samskruti. That is the meaning of the culture. Then what is the goal of Indian culture? The goal of Indian culture is yoga, moksha, mukti, nirvana. In English we can say self-realization, self-transformations. So that is the goal of the Indian culture, that we born, we must realize the God. That in Sanskrit term we say yoga or moksha or mukti or nirvana, in English self-realization, self-transformations. Now the next point we discuss what benefit we will get if we follow the Indian culture or the dharma culture. So here that I am going to use the word Indian culture or dharma culture. I think if we use the word Indian culture, it will be a little bit injustice to the rest of the world. But why? Because we follow the dharma, we practice the dharma, that is the for whole human being. So Indian culture or dharma culture, the dharma culture is the best way to describe the Indian culture. Now, so what is the benefit if we follow the Indian culture or the dharma culture? The benefit of the Indian culture will be, if we follow the Indian culture or dharma culture, it will bring peace in the every individual life, and once individual life will be peace, and that will help to be in the society, to bring peace and stability in the nation. So what I am trying to say, that will follow Indian culture or Dharma culture, that will bring peace not only in individual life, and that will bring peace in the nation and to the society. Now, next point we are going to discuss the Indian culture, the moksha mukti, to get yoga moksha. However, to get that yoga or moksha mukti, that is the Indian culture. On that point, we discuss who made the culture or dharma culture. The Indian culture and dharma culture is established by the saint and sages. We say Muni and Rishi. Muni and Rishi, they established the Indian culture or the dharma culture. One thing we have to remember, that when in Indian culture or dharma culture, somebody became Rishi or Muni, they don't have lies. So they always say truth. They are Sthita Pragya. They go over the kama, krodha, desire, anger. So whatever they say, that is the truth 100%. There's no need to doubt on that. So that is the quality of rishis, that they wrote the culture. You can see history. There's about 45 civilizations in the world. Out of 45 civilizations, only one civilization, one culture is sustained, that is the Indian culture or dharma culture, because our saints and sages wrote down that culture in the books. You may be discourage the people not to follow that culture, but once you write in the book, that culture will not never ever die, it will be sustained. That's why out of 45 civilizations, only one Indian civilization survive in the world, because our saints and sages, they wrote that culture in Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Mahakavyas. That's the huge part of the Indian culture. Then a question arises, how old is Indian culture? There is a two concept, the concept of the Western scholar and the concept of the Indian Panchang. According to Western scholar, they put Indian culture or dharma culture into 5,000 years. If we read their history book, they will say the Bhagavad Gita happened 800 BC, maybe 600 BC, Ramayana 1200 BC, the Yajurveda 2000 BC, the Samaveda 2002 BC. So like that, they will put everything Indian culture in 5,000 years, because Western culture is 5,000 years. They believe that only Western culture is there. Thus they put Indian culture into 5,000 years. But if we follow the Indian Panchang, in Indian Panchang, today is the 19th of Shravan month, 5,122 years. That is the beginning of the Kali Yuga. According to Indian Panchang, we got 4 Yuga: Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. And we passed many Satya Yuga, many Treta Yuga, many Dwapara Yuga, many Kali Yuga. Like that, in total, the Indian culture or Dharma culture is 1,960,853,122 years. So that is the age of the Indian culture according to the Indian Panchang. Now, so the goal of the Indian culture is to realize the God. So what method they use? That, as I told, the great saint and sages, they made this Indian culture. Our saint and sages, they notice, they see that they say Sarira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. If you want to realize God, we must be healthy mentally and physically. So to keep healthy, our saint and sages, they discover is called Ayurveda. So the Ayurveda, it might can translate into Indian medicine, the knowledge about the life. With the Ayurveda, we can live long, we can live healthy, mentally, physically will be healthy, and that will be help to the realize the God. So that's why they make it Ayurveda. We must follow a lifestyle Ayurveda way. So then they find out, with their, as I told, our Indian culture is close to 2 billion years old. With their experience, they saw that only Ayurveda is not enough. Because when we live in, our body made of 5 elements. That's air, fire, water, ether and earth. Khiti, Ap, Teja, Marudu, Vyama. So those 5 elements, if that 5 elements will not balance, that outer world will be imbalanced, that 5 elements in our body, that will get imbalance. When that will get imbalance, we will not be healthy. It will have an impact in our body and mind. To keep that 5 elements healthy, our saint and sage discover a language is called Devabhasa Sanskritam. Because Sanskrit is a language, it can keep healthy the 5 elements. Because if we look at the 5 elements, it states there's from emptiness, it started the air, from air it started the fire, from fire it started the water, from water it came to the earth. So that means the root element is the emptiness. So what emptiness can take? It say Sabda Gunakam Akasam. The Akasa, the emptiness can receive the sound. Now I am talking, you are hearing, because between me and my device there is emptiness, that's why we can hear. So that's quality of the Akasa, the emptiness receive the sound. So that's why our sentence says they thought we must discover such a sound. Through the sound we can put the pure sound, and that will purify the emptiness, and emptiness will purify rest of the 4 elements, and always that 5 elements will be pure. Once 5 elements will be pure, that 5 elements in our body, that will be stay pure, you can have a healthy life. So that's why our sentences discover Sanskrit language, Sanskrit mantras, Sanskrit prayers, Vedic chanting. When you chant the mantras, thus purify the emptiness, emptiness, and that emptiness purify the remaining elements. If you can see in our Indian tradition, we do lots of prayers, chanting, havans. You will see on the prayer what exactly the priest does. He come and chant some Sanskrit mantras, because the whole being, whole world using the 5 elements, the 5 elements get impure. To keep that pure elements, our saint and sages discover the Sanskrit language, Sanskrit mantras. That's why this 3 sandhya, 3 times, and that mantras will purify the 5 elements. So that is the very important thing. That's why it's called Devabhasa Sanskritam. That is the importance of the Sanskrit language. So our sentences make that Ayurveda, then Sanskrit language, Sanskrit mantras. Then also, although you are healthy and you are healthy, but you need the wealth. We need without wealth you can't survive. To make the society wealth and prosper, they make the whole human being into four varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. We must make it note that Varna means Jati, not caste. There is a fundamental difference between Jati and caste. I am not going to discuss that point here, it takes a lot of time. So our sentence suggests make into four groups: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. So one group, Brahmana, symbolically who can teach; Kshatriya, symbolically who will be protect the country; Vaishya, symbolically who will be bring the economy to the country; and Sudra, the labor work. So these four groups of people need to run the society smoothly and prosper. That's why our sentence suggests divide this human being into four varnas, and that is the part of the Indian culture. Then also they told to achieve that goal, to realize the God, they change into varnashram: brahmacharya, garhastya, vanaprastha, sannyasa. That means when our life, first quarter life, we must brahmacharya, must follow the brahmacharya, and we must study. Second part of the life, we must do garhastya, household life, and third part, we must try to slowly renunciate the life, the household life, and finally we must follow the sannyasa to realize the God. That is the part of the Indian culture. Then also they made it chaturvarga: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. We must live righteous way. In the righteous way, we must earn the money, and that money must have a correct desire, and that correct desire will lead to moksha. So they make the chaturvarga of the Indian culture. And also Indian culture follow the concept of the karma. Karma means, according to Indian concept, I take my karma. I can't take my father or great grandfather's karma, and I will take my karma to the next life. So that's why Indian concept follow the concept of the punarjanma. So you born again and again. And these things, that is the huge part of the Indian culture, that is a huge part of the dharma culture. We follow the concept of the karma, punarjanma, and that also bring peace and stability to the society. And also Indian culture follow the concept that divinity is everywhere, the supreme power is everywhere, the God is everywhere, the divinity is within me, within you, all beings, in the wall, in the temple, in the book. So God is present everywhere. That is the significance point or concept of the Indian culture or dharma culture. Now, to realize the God, whatever the goal of the Indian tradition, we have to follow certain things. It's called Matrudeva Bhava. Mother is a living God for us. It's not like once a year we'll do Mother's Day or Father's Day, then our job is over. No. Matrudeva Bhava means Mother is our living God. Pitrudeva Bhava, Father is our living God. Acharya Deva Bhava, Guru is our living God. Atiti Deva Bhava, guest is our God. You have to follow those practices, those actions to have a peaceful life. Then, so these are the basic things we have to practice in Indian culture once we want to realize the God. Then, to realize God, that Indian culture is allow many school of philosophies. So realize God, there is a numerous school of philosophy. The school of philosophy comes according to the demand of time and demand of the situations. Like that, we have Advaita school of philosophy, Dvaita school of philosophy, Vishishta Dvaita school of philosophy, Bauddha philosophy, Jaina philosophy. So these are the philosophies. Many philosophy comes and goes. And finally what happened, that that means that Bauddha is not a religion, Jaina is not a religion, Hinduism is not a religion. Those are the Indian school of philosophies, because Indian culture reject the concept of the religion, because religion is belief, because there is no possibility in the belief where infinite possibilities in the dharma. That's why Indian culture reject the concept of the religion. Now, to follow the path, so as I told, there are many schools of philosophy, and they very, how I can say, the Maharshi Patanjali very briefly, if you want to realize God, you have to follow the different path, like a yama, niyama. Yama, to want to realize God, we must practice ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, aparigraha, non-greediness, brahmacharya. Then niyama, like a shaucha, cleanliness, santosha, contentment, tapasya, penance, swadhyaya, reading of the scriptures, and the Ishvara Pranidhanam, surrender to the God. Once you do that, then do asana, the physical exercise, then a pranayama, controlling of the breathing, then a pratyahara, like a withdraw the senses from the outer world and keep within, then dhyana, to control the mind, or meditation, dharana, continuous thinking about the God, and finally samadhi, completely oneness with the God. So this way, that Indian culture, those are the Indian culture we follow to realize the God. It is very difficult task to define about the Indian culture, because the culture is made by the saint and sages, and it's not so easy to decode the mind of saint and sages, whatever they put in the people's life. So this is the, very briefly, I told the point about the Indian culture. Now point came that that next point we discuss the history of Indian culture. That means which part of the world the Indian culture or dharma culture was established. If, as I told, the Indian culture is close to 2 billion years old, so if you look our Puranas, in Puranas it says that there's a dialogue between Maharshi Parasara and Maitreya Rishi. They describing the world. So whatever we see now, the world, that world already drawn by our saint and sages. I don't have the projector, I could show that, but the dialogue between Maharshi Parasara and Maitreya was they saying that as we got now 7 continents, 2 billion years before, our saint and sages, they also told us the 7 continents. He's saying Jambu Plaksha Hayudipo Shalmalascha Paradvija Kushaha Kraunchas Tatha Saka Pushkarashchaiva Saptadha. That means there is 7 continent, which is a Deepa, like Jambu Dvipa, Plaksha Dvipa, Shalmala Dvipa, Kusha Dvipa, Krauncha Dvipa, Shaka Dvipa, Pushkara Dvipa. That another example you can see in Ramayana, it's a Ravana was the Saptadhipati. So he win over the 7 continents, the whole world. That's another thing. Now let's discuss very briefly about those continents. That Jambudipa in Brahma Purana, it written there that Purushe Yajna Purusha Jambu Dvipe Sadechyate Yajna Mayo Vishnu Ramya Dvipe Suchanyatha. They discuss about the Jambudvipa. In Jambudvipa, that's the smallest continent in Jambudvipa according to our Puranas. That smallest continent, the Jambudvipa, there are seven countries. One, the Bharatavarsha, whatever you can see, India and neighboring countries. That they're saying Bharatavarsha is the best, and like a avatar of the Vamana, Parashurama, Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, Buddha happened in the Bharatavarsha. Then other part is Ilavrita, is some part of the Russia. On that part Ilavrita is a Hayagriva avatar happened with Lord Vishnu. Then another part of the Jambudvipa was Harivarsha. That is a part of the China and the Java, where Narasingha avatar happened on that part. And there was Ketumala, is now is like Iran, Tehran, and part of the Russia, where they were praying the Mother Lakshmi. Then other part was Ramya, is a part of Russia, where that Bhagwan Vishnu's Matsya avatar happened, and that other part is the Hiranmaya, the part of Russia where Kachchap avatar happened. So these are our Puranas mention about the Jambu Dvipa and these places that Lord Vishnu take incarnations. That is the proof of our Puranas. As I told, the Purana was written by our saints and sages, and they don't tell lies, because the moment they will tell lies, their Rishitva or Munitva will not there. That is why you can see in the Ramayana, like even Rishi Vishwamitra, he could kill the demons, but because he's a Rishi, he went to Dasharatha and asked Rama and Lakshmana, please go help to kill those demons. He had a power, but the moment he used that power, he lose that Rishitva. That's why ours is written in our Puranas. That is true with fact. It is not a mythology, it is not a story. So that's about the Jambudvipa according to our Indian traditions, Dharma tradition written there. The next Dvipa was Plakshadvipa. Plakshadvipa is mentioned about Vishnu Purana. Why they gave that? The Plakshadvipa is now presently whatever called as South America. Why they, our culture call it Plakshadvipa? There's a tree called Plaksha. That's why they gave the name as a Plakshadvipa, and that mentioned in Vishnu Puran and Bhagavata Puran. And there what happened, they were praying Vishnu as Soma, and they also praying to the Brahma. That is the Plakshadvipa, presently known as the South America. Then the Swami of that Plakshadvipa was Swami Meghatithi. Now the third continent according to Indian culture is Salmala Dvipa, is presently known as a Australia. That mentioned in Vishnu Purana about that, about the Salmala Dvipa, about Australia, that the Swami of that Dvipa, that continent was Vapushman. And why they gave Salmala Dvipa? There was Salmala tree, salmon tree. That's why they gave the name Salmala Dvipa. Now, on that Salmala Dvipa, presently known as Australia, there is a four varna that is mentioned in the Vishnu Puran, like Kapilascharuna Pita, Krishnashchaiva Pruthak Pruthak. We are saying Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They were saying Kapila, Aruna, Pitaha, Krishna, four varnas was there. Then the fourth continent was Kusha Dvipa. That is around Pacific Ocean, now as known as Oceania areas that known as. Why they told the Kusha Dvipa? Because Kusha grass was there. That's why our Puranas, they told as a Kusha Dvipa. The Swami was Jyotishman, and they were praying to the Agni. Now that is the Kusha Dvipa. Then Krauncha Dvipa. Krauncha Dvipa now known as a Africa continent. Why they gave the Krauncha? Because there is a mountain called Krauncha. That's why the continent is Krauncha Dvipa, very big mountain. And they were praying the Varuna Deva, and their Swami was Dyutiman. Big history, I'm not going to discuss on that. And that Krauncha Dvipa also mentioned in Vishnu Puran. Even Ramayana also, when Sugriva sent to his army to go north side, Sugriva mentioned Krauncham tu girima sadhya bilam tasya sudurgamam apramautam praveshtavyam dusprevasham hi tatsmritam. So he also mentioned about the Krauncha Dvipa. Now sixth, that continent or Dvipa is a Shaka Dvipa, is presently known as the Europe. Why they make it Shaka Dvipa? There's a tree called Shaka. That's our saint and sages gave that name as a Shaka Dvipa. And they're saying around the Shaka there's a milk ocean, and whatever I mentioned that Lord Vishnu stay in the milk ocean with the Shashanag, that place is the Shaka Dvipa, Lord Vishnu stay. Now here the question came, we can't see milk around the Europe. That is because we have to understand the fundamental difference between Western education and Eastern education. Because we brought up the Western education, we want to, whatever you see, that we believe. But what happened in our Indian culture, we must have a adhyatma jnana, the special knowledge to see these things. Even I can give you example of the Mahabharata. Everybody saw the Krishna, but nobody could see his Vishwarupa, Virat Rupa. Only Arjuna see the moment he got a Divya Rupa, for Divya Chakshu or divine eyes from the Krishna. To see these things, we need a divine eye about milk ocean, Lord Vishnu. We can see very instantly that Ramcharitamanas, that Tulsidas, he saw the Rama, he saw the Krishna because he has divine eyes. So we need divine eye to understand the Indian concept. So here also the Sakadvipa, presently known as a Europe, because the Saka tree and a milk ocean, we say that Lord Vishnu, that's the place of the Lord Vishnu. And other thing also Sakadvipa, there's 4 Varna in Sakadvipa, is a Bhrigu, Magadha, Manasa, Mangada. The educated Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they say Bhrigu, Magadha, Manasa and Mandaga, and they pray to Surya Narayana. And also you must remember the Brahmins, among the Brahmins, the Sakadvipiya Brahmins are the best, as mentioned in our Puranas, because they born from the Surya Angsha. You will see Manusmriti. In Manusmriti, you can't do Sadha after the sunset, but if you have a Sakadvipiya Brahmana, the Sakadvipiya from Europe, now you can't say the Brahmana there, but Sakadvipiya Brahmana, you can do the Sadha after the sunset, because Surya is there with the Brahmins, with the Prakash, so you can do the, allow the Sakadvipiya Brahmana can do yajna. As Mahabharata, when Lord Krishna's son Sambha has a Kushta Roga or leprosy, so Lord Krishna brought 18 Sakadvipiya Brahmana and did that prayer, and Sambha free from their disease. And those 18 Brahmans later established Magadha, is known as the Bihar. Now if you look history, that Barahamihira, Acharya, Kaundinyayana, Aryabhatta, Banabhatta and Chanakya, they are the Sakadvipiya Brahmana. They come from the Europe. So that is the 7 continent. So what I am saying, that if in our Indian culture or Dharma culture, in the geography, in the Bhugol, they make the 7 continents. One is Jambudvipa, all of us know India is there, Indian culture is there. In Uplak this now in South America, they were praying Vishnu as a Soma. Salmaladipa, now as Australia, they were praying to the there's 4 Varna was there. Then Kushadvipa, known around the Pacific Ocean, they praying Agni. Then Kraunchadvipa, that Africa now, they praying Varuna Deva. Then Shakadvipa in the Europe, they were praying to the Surya Narayana. Then finally, so what I am saying, so here proof that Indian culture or Dharma culture was throughout the world maybe millions years before, and that's why we can find now across the world the evidence of the temples, the murti around the world. We found it, that is that because of these things, the Indian culture throughout the world, proof is Puranas, that's why we find it. Now this is the brief history of the Indian culture or Dharma culture. Let's talk what is the present situations of the Indian culture or Dharma culture. As I told, Indian culture, Dharma culture is 2 billion years old. Now what happened that in like a millions years before, Indian culture throughout the world. Now what is happening, from that time to 400 400th century, the Indian culture is only confined in Asian continent. You can see the Indian culture was in the what you say, in India and around India, up to the like India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Malaysia. The Indian culture was there up to 400th century. From 400th century to 1947, when India got independence, that Indian culture confined only in India. So here, millions years before, Indian culture throughout the world. In 400th century, the Indian culture is only in Asia continent. In 1947, the Indian culture confined only in India. Now from 1947, when we had that 1951 first census, we find out the follower of Indian culture. That means who follow the concept of the karma, concept of the punarjanma, who follow the concept of the chaturvarna. Those follower, like especially you can say the Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, they were 87%. In 1947, in 2011, those gone down to 79%. Right. So now I'm see the statistics that every 10 years the follower of Indian culture or a follower of dharma is reducing by 1%. If it goes like that, what will happen after 200 years if the follower become 49%? So what will happen of that Indian culture? So that is my point, my concern. So now we have to practice, protect and promote the Indian culture. Now how to practice, protect and promote Indian culture? I can say the Sanskrit Vidwan, Sanskrit scholar, they have to play a vital role how to protect the Indian culture or Indian tradition. Now what is happening I can say that I heard that we say India is a secular country. They make is a secular means dharma nirapeksha. I don't think secular means dharma nirapeksha. It could be pantha nirapeksha, because dharma nirapeksha word is not right. Dharma cannot be nirapeksha. Dharma must be sapeksha. Dharma is sapeksha to the dharma, not adharma. So here, we got the problems that secular country, and I came to know that I might be wrong. Indian 35 article, Indian Constitution, Article 35A prevent to promote dharma. So how we can establish or promote our dharma? So I can request in the platform all the Sanskrit scholars. So let us practice and promote our Bhagavad Gita, Veda mantras, our prayers. In every platform, I request that our Sanskrit scholars, they must start the chanting of the Bhagavad Gita, Veda mantras in nearby ashrams and temple. They must invite the peoples and they must tell what is Indian culture. Because Indian culture is not our in school basic educations, school curriculum, then how Indian will know their Indian culture? So we must start in our ashram and temples. That will be other point to promote Sanskrit language, Indian culture, Indian tradition. And we same thing started in South Africa, that through the ashrams and temple we promoting Sanskrit language, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, Sanskrit mantras, and that will help to promote Indian culture and traditions. So in these conclusions, what I can say that Indian culture, very briefly, if I am going to summarize the Indian culture, whatever say Indian culture, the other name of Indian culture will be Hindu culture, Arya culture, Bharatiya culture. I think best word you must use, the Dharma culture, is the close to 2 billion year. The Indian culture, the goal of Indian culture is to realize God which is called moksha, mukti, nirvana, self-realization, self-transformations. And if we follow the Indian culture or dharma culture, it will bring peace and stability in individual life, and that will finally help to bring peace and stability in the nations and the society. And as also I discussed that Indian culture is rapidly declining, so and that's to bring peace and stability in the world, we must try to practice, protect and promote Indian culture through the Devabhasa Sanskritam and our other beautiful language around the world. That way we can again re-establish Indian culture or the dharma. So at the end, I like to giving thanks to Samskrita Samskriti Vikas Sansthanam, Rajasthan, India, to allowing me to do present about the Indian culture and importance. And thank you so much for that. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.